This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenrail radio playlist. zenrailclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Portian Bakery. If you're located in the Portian area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Portian Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone can podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode. So I have a hard stop at 7:30.
Okay.
So yeah,
Should be fine.
okay, cool. So let's start off with Call of Duty, because now that we're back into it, we've been playing a few games. It's so interesting how those short games are super fun, but their like buggy system is really like irking me. I know we like talked about it as we were playing it, how as I would like equip a different mod for the gun, if there's an optic, I would switch it out with like a better scope and all that, and like it would just like unattach it every time the game would start. And even if I would attach a new item to it, I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, like as I attach a new item, it just unattaches the last one. And as well, like all my progress is gone, which is very odd. You said yours is totally there. So I don't understand what's going on. Maybe they're not as actually good as they're saying. You know what I'm saying? Because the in terms of like finances. So I wonder if because of the downturn of where we are economically, like have you heard anything about that? Because I'm wondering, you're a pretty big company, that to have all these bugs in the Call of Duty system, and you were saying too with like Modern Warfare, people making fun of it. So like, I don't know.
I think there's a lot to it, that they're connecting all of their games. So like with Warzone is like the free one. So suppose all the guns that you have from the previous, like the other Modern Warfare 2 and 1, I think they all work in Warzone. And
okay.
So if you,
interesting.
So if you're,
Wow.
I wonder if there's like bugs in the sense that they're trying to keep all these guns or games connected because of that one thing, but it's not, and you're having it in multiple platforms running at the same time, right?
Okay.
That's
so
another
what
thing I'm thinking about. And I feel like I feel like there's I would say it's a multitude of things, right? Those are some of the things, but you've expanded it so much. But at the same time, I don't know how often they're working from home or these sort of things that can't catch or fix bugs as efficiently as they used to. And it's just now, I don't know, at times I feel like it's just annoying. It's like, this is, once you get it to work, it's fun, but then it's like getting it to work is taking too much time.
Yeah, totally. And like how you were saying that you were like laggy, and then I was like, oh, I'm seem to be okay, but it's like everyone is at a different.
And it's not just that. I just remember now too.
Okay,
another one was, we're playing on PS4, PS5, but they're also connecting. They're also connecting it to players on PC. You're doing so many platforms, and then there's so many bugs. It's like maybe those bugs work on a PC, but doesn't work on a PS4 or 5. So
yeah, for sure. So the draw of Call of Duty was that we could all play. Like it doesn't matter the system. When I was like trying to jump back into Grand Theft Auto 5, you were like, I have upgraded it, so now it won't work with the PS4. Remember, we can't join the same world.
Yeah.
So like in separating things, it's like the Apple effect. Because when you separate things and you keep them closed, you can manage all the issues. But I feel the biggest draw of Call of Duty was that, cross-platform play. Like Sunshine had the Xbox.
Yeah, right.
All that. And then
True.
we're still playing, so which is great. But in the dream and the hope of building like more intricate online worlds that connect like more compatibly, yeah, you can't catch everything. So it's like maybe where like the yin and yang of it, it's great, the ideology,
Yeah.
but how do we actually make this
Hmm.
run well?
Hmm.
Because I thought it was just me, right? And I was like, oh, maybe I just like didn't link something online or whatever. And then I was Googling it, and a lot of people lost, well, one, they lost their passwords, and not passwords, their progress. And two, they all have the glitch issue where it's like if you add a mod and it comes off right away.
Right.
And you're like, what? Why is
Hmm.
this happening
Hmm.
for this game that should be stable? Do you think it's like because you mentioned like Call of Duty 3 and they're trying to add more, to the series? Is it like maybe you should have stopped at Warzone and Call of Duty 2? You know?
Yeah, but that's the thing. That would stop the growth, right? Uh,
Yes, yes.
I because they've been used to always releasing a Call of Duty each year. That's
Yeah.
just the normal
Yeah.
thing, and it's not always the same studio that's doing it, right? It's different. This studio is
Oh,
working on it
interesting.
for a few years, so they release it. This studio is working on the Modern Warfare, they'll release it. So it's again, and then on top of that, they want to combine all of it because you can see on their main page, you can go to all the different ones,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
and it's pretty buggy. Like it's, I
I
don't know,
wonder,
it's a
yeah,
problem.
I wonder too if I bought Call of Duty 3, would all the bugs go away? You know what I mean? So it's almost like planned obsolescence.
Hmm.
So you're trying to force me into the newer game, and they're like, if you just
Yeah, I
bought
think
Call of Duty 3,
maybe that too. Yeah, now why would we focus on fixing issues on past games when
Right, 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 right.
there's a new game out?
Yeah. And like our continuous progress for more, right? We want to make we've come to build an expectation. Same with the iPhone, right? It's always the same phone. But with this year's iPhone, I was like, you don't even need to get that one. That one's actually at like the 14 and like probably at like around the 10 or 11 stage. I would say it's good to go.
Hmm.
You don't really need those high level of like processing speed and like whatever. Unless you're going to use it for, I don't know, videography or like you're really into social stuff. You really want to
But those are
post,
not. Yeah, those are far and few between. Right.
Right, exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And I think the regular consumer, they don't need the newest iteration every single year. It's great to have, but that's more of like a keeping up with the Joneses thing.
Yeah.
And in this repetitive cycle of always promising us a new thing every few years,
Hmm.
or in Apple's case, every year, you run the risk of just running into like these bugs that are happening now.
Yeah.
And then you have to do planned obsolescence.
Yeah.
But all right, so this is kind of like a microcosm of the macrocosm of our society.
Hmm.
So what I mean is, I just finished this book called "The State We're In." So it's like 1990, and I guess he's a professor or something, or the author. He basically boiled it down into three things that got us to where we are today in 2023, right? With like climate change and like how come there's a disparity between rich and poor, like all these things, right? It can stem down to three things, and the first one is our dependence on oil. So we built our society, like our industrialized
Hmm.
revolution,
Yeah.
around oil.
Yeah.
Okay, and we've talked about this so many times on the podcast, but it was like refreshing to see somebody else say it in a book. I was like, oh, okay, we're on to the right thing, um, and we can't get rid of it. So what he said is in 1980 there was a surplus of oil, so there's a surplus of jobs. But then in 1990, the oil like money dropped, and then in doing that, people like lost jobs. So
Sure.
we're very, as one goes up, so does the other,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Um, we'll get into that in a second because it's like it ties into climate change. But the second one was credit. So lending, and we can build more and more stuff, but we have to get like borrow money and then pay back interest, and
Hmm.
that's when people get into debt, right? They're like, oh, a vicious cycle I can't get out of, or like the 2008 economic crisis.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then the final one was commodification. So what that is you turn everything into a business transaction. So he brought up the idea of schools, right? So like you'd think that as a school, like it's kind of even, because it's all about education for the whole.
Mm-hmm.
right? You would assume, you know. But what he's saying, and you see it now, is they're competing for funds, tuition money. Certain public schools get more money if their grades are better. You know what I'm saying?
That depends
And like,
on where. I think that depends on the school. I don't think that works. It depends on how the system is structured. I think that happens in America more than here.
oh, the money thing.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe yeah, because it was like an
It's
American
American
author.
structures. Yeah. If it's an affluent area, the school is going to be better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, but also not even that, because here, if you go to like less affluent areas, like you'll have a teacher that doesn't want to go in that area. You know, there's like, oh, I'll pick this
But
school when it
but
comes down to it.
the whatever the money path thing is all the same to the different
Okay, okay,
schools,
all right,
right? Or
okay. Scratching out
the way that the curriculum is
scratching.
structured is all the same. Yeah.
Okay, but it's like who delivers the curriculum. So okay, all right, the
Yeah, I
curriculum's all the
understand
same.
that. That's fine. Yeah, that
Oh,
you're looking for good
right,
teachers and stuff. That's a different thing. But
right, but that's
yeah,
commodification still, because you're turning it into a business. It's like, well, I got to pay you more. Maybe I can get this cheaper teacher. It's not really for like the common good. It's more of like, how can I make more money with less?
mm-hmm.
You know, that's always the thing. Like, how do we cut costs? How do we cut costs? Right. And we were talking about the Call of Duty thing. It's like we have to release another game every year because that's a way to constantly increase revenue because you want to make our stakeholders happy. But that also ties into the first thing I said, which is like credit lending, or the second thing I said, credit lending. You know what I mean? So it's like this crazy interwoven thing.
But like that again for the Call of Duty thing could crash in the sense that if people are not happy with the product, they're not going to buy the product.
No, definitely. But
yeah.
but why do they? Right. But it's like, why didn't you just stop there? iPhone, why didn't you just stop there? Because we are always like more.
Mm-hmm.
Reduce costs, make more money. Reduce costs, make more money.
Yeah.
Right. But with that kind of thinking, you just end up focusing on money rather than society.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And what he was saying in the book was like, you know, they always end the book with a way to solve this issue. And he kind of brought up like social good, which kind of sounded like communism. And then it made me think before, like we all don't like communism, like we quote unquote don't like communism because like we want freedom and like the ability to purchase our own goods, whatever. But maybe it is like better that way to like organize things. And if you see something going awry, it's like, we got to fix that problem.
Sure. Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that?
It depends. I think it depends on how it's structured. I don't know if that's necessarily communism. There could be socialism structures, right? So
no, but socialism people don't like either. They lump it in with communism.
Sure, I understand that.
Oh, you're a socialist, bro.
I understand what that means, but we have socialism things that we already do anyways, right? So I think that's more of an American term that's used as negative, especially with socialism and communism, right? But I mean, that's a very that's America. That's just how that they have those two sides to it that they both take,
like freedom, like But so remember that the martial artist that I sent you the video of, and he was like, people are afraid about Jesus, and like we came to America. Remember that? And we're like, that's not actually why we came to America. He's like, oh, we want like we want to be able to worship Jesus in our own right. But I'm like, but that's actually what happened back then. They wanted to separate, like they wanted to give
the reason the reason
whatever, right?
The reason America was like born was for being
right. So that's weird that was like, you're from the country, you don't even know what the Constitution is built on. But aside from that, the idea of America was like an exercise in freedom. You know what I mean? It's like freedom to own anything, freedom to make it big. You know, you could become a multimillionaire. And I think that, like, how long has America been around?
Is it 250 years?
Like 250?
Maybe.
Okay. So let's say 250 years. But you look at other countries that have been there for like thousands of years, right? And they've kind of like built in a social order. And America was like that exercise in being different from the whole.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like now we're kind of seeing the crumbling of that exercise. Because one thing he put in the book was like the disparity between rich and poor is like we're just having such a wide gap that people are totally being forgotten. And then the people that are at the top are very small, and that's like creating power issue structures,
Sure.
like, right. And if you think about, like a parent who has to make ends meet by taking two jobs, let's say, and then there's no one to watch the kids, just to make the money. But if we like spread out the money a bit better, maybe we can avoid a lot of problems. Because you talked about people going towards the black market because they need more money. So it's like, yeah, of course,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think? Or are you still on the America's the best? Or like Western capitalism?
Yeah, we'd have to see if America falls, but I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. So,
yeah, I mean, I was thinking that it wasn't going to, but I don't know if it's all going to fall now because, they were saying Brazil, Russia, India, China, BRIC countries. Remember, I've been saying that for so long because that's what we learned in school. Like they're going to take over, and my cousin was saying that China just admitted that they're having a problem, like a money issue.
Yeah.
And he was saying that China doesn't do that easily. Like in their culture, it's about like saving face. So the fact that you said it means it's like 2 times worse than what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you don't say it's bad until it's bad.
No, because they're the like with everybody having inflation, they're the ones. They were the deflation, which is the opposite, which is worse. Which is not really good. Yeah, because people are not spending money even though they've got money. Like things are getting cheaper and no one's spending. Something like that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this goes back to problem 2. But all right. So the crazy part is that this book was written, I'm pretty sure in like 1991. I had to check it because I was like, what? Like, how do you, like, it has like a lot of old references. So I was like, is this just a really old book? But it's like 1991. So it's almost like the writing was on the wall, and a lot of people were like screaming about this before, but it took, I guess like 1981 to now for people to actually realize the issues. You know what I'm saying? So like, like when COVID was happening, right? And everyone's like, oh, lockdowns, like keep you safe. But you and I were like looking at The Economist being like, this is not a good idea because then post-COVID, you're going to see this crazy bounce back. And now we're seeing it. It's like, but nobody listened to the writing on the wall, know?
Right.
And it's like, maybe we should listen. Like we're going to repeat history and, like crash ourselves when
but there's also 2 ways to look at that, right? Because at the time, for COVID, right, they don't know how severe or not severe it would end up being, right? So either if you acted less, like without the lockdowns and stuff, it could be more severe in the long run, right?
Yeah, fair.
Totally. Maybe with the lockdowns and then gradually removing them. Maybe it was taking too long to remove the lockdowns versus, maybe if we'd done it earlier, better recovery. Like there's different things like that. So it's hard to.
Right. But you can also use COVID as an example for the exact same thing with the economy and like the way we structure society, because like they probably were looking at this like increase and they're like, oh, we're on like a winning streak, and then now you're seeing it. It's like, oh no, the experts were right. We just didn't want to listen because we were raking in all the money. You know what I'm saying?
I don't understand. We're raking in all the money? What does that mean?
So okay, so you're the COVID example about the lockdowns. You're like, it's probably better if we do this. It'll seem like it'll be better. And then with the money thing, it's like, with the way we're structuring society with lending and dependence on oil and commodification of everything, it's like you were like, hey, it's making us money, so this seems to be the correct path. You know what I'm saying? It's like rather than doing the more like rather than waiting to look at all the data, we're moving quickly in this direction because it seems like the best one at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like no foresight. We're just moving so quickly that nobody's willing to just be like, what is the ramification of that decision?
Well, probably was added to the ramifications, just how again, I don't know. It depends on how you look at. That depends on how you look at it, right? Like China was one of the. This is just lockdown stuff, if I can remember. Like this is memory wise, right? China was the first one to do all that. Nobody was doing it until it started to be an actual issue, right? Then they started only in March of that following 2020, right? That's when it really started the lockdowns. But it was back. Was it December already or November that China was already doing those lockdowns?
But I feel like they were in the thick of it. Like a lot of people were getting it, so they had to.
Yeah, no, they were doing. I know, I understand, but that's how they were. So basically, China watching China doing it, that was seeing like how it's going to play out, right? You've got to
but yeah, no, but that's human nature. Then it's like, oh look, the West is making all this money. Let me jump into global economics now. So you get all these other countries jumping on the capitalist bandwagon. You know what I'm saying? And then you're just like, wait a minute. This is maybe not the smartest move. All right, I think let's just go in the climate change thing because it's more obvious with the climate change. Like this is more money based and it's like kind of esoteric. But with the climate change thing, so we're getting like this El Nino winter, right? Yesterday, like last night, we were playing Call of Duty and we're like, dude, look at the snow. Remember you're saying to me? And then I wake up this morning, I'm like, oh, a bunch of it's melted because like we're at +3. So it's like goes down, goes up, right? You can't deny that climate change is not real at this point. It's just too much of an upswing. Even my cousin, I was like saying like, oh, it looks like we're in El Nino weather, right? And he's like, oh, but maybe that's because of the storms, whatever. But I'm like, yeah, but the storms wouldn't have happened if it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, it's like those storms wouldn't have happened to create the domino effect that we're now seeing.
Yeah, I think it depends. Yeah. I mean, it's not just taking a look at one storm, right? You look at the whole. We know that the whole planet temperature has been rising. Like that's
right.
Yeah.
Okay, and what is the main cause of this that we're saying?
That's fossil fuels.
Fossil fuels.
Yeah.
Right. Fossil fuels. But it's not really. Like when people say fossil fuels, okay, I'm going to be like a weird person. Okay, because I'd rather live in the truth than like the denial. So remember how I used to work at, so you and I have been talking about this for a while, right? About like, you're stuck in your dependence. Like, what do you mean climate change? There's no way we can fix it. Okay. So when I was working for that other, like, it's an NGO, but like it was kind of like related to the government. And I spent a lot of time with the climate change person because I was like, what's this thing that you're talking about? And then he was saying like, if we just like reduced our emissions, whatever. And then I just did a simple Google and I was like, wait a minute. If you reduce like if you look at the map of who's producing all the fossil fuel emission, Canada is 2%.
Yeah.
China's like huge, like all those like building countries. So even if we did, I was saying this to him in the car, and because we were driving to go film something, and he was like, "Yeah, well, just gotta stop something." Like, if you just Google it, it's 2%. So if we stop 2%, what's that gonna do to the whole thing? Like, why are we making ourselves feel bad about?
Yes, yeah. That's a lot of the complaints of what's going on with the gas tax and things, where we're like. Not like what 35 million, 40 million people now of 7 billion people on this earth.
Right. Okay.
Very little.
Check this out. So check this out. So everyone's like, oh, carbon tax, and then people are now saying like, wait, this wouldn't even we wouldn't move the needle. It can't. Let's say Canada went fully electric. It's 2%, bro. And I knew this 2016, 2017. So like 6 years ago. Yeah. It was just a simple Google. And you're just like, what is the logical, like what is the logical thing? How much are we contributing? What if we stopped it? Oh, it would do nothing.
Right.
It's almost like, that's why when I worked there and I would always be like, they're like, what's your job? Instead of being a marketer, I'm like a propagandist. They would hate that, right? But it was like, no, because it's like, what are we doing? Because this makes no sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then now that climate change is becoming more and more popular and like in the nonprofit space, like everyone's got to tackle climate change. I feel like I'm just going to bring up the fact that like it makes no sense, but I wonder what the perspective of that would be.
It's mentioned on the radio, but not a lot of people talk about it. Of course, that when we think of fossil fuels or that, we're just thinking of gas for cars,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And not consumers. What's that? Commerce, right? Like just trucks and all these kind of things. But as we mentioned before, it's everything. It's in everything. To make tires, right?
Yes. Right.
And
plastic,
oil-based paint. Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Even sometimes clothes need it too, right? So it's like,
what do you think? What's it? Cotton, polyester. What do you think polyester is? Polyester is oil because it's plastic.
Right. Yeah.
So what are you gonna do, bro? And in the book it said it too. It was like the lifeblood of industrialization is oil.
Mm-hmm.
So now when we look at the thing like global economics, right? Like why did the Saudis have all the money? Because they're sitting on all the oil, bro.
Yeah.
Like, we're not trading in US dollars, but why do they have why does everyone have like a Lamborghini there?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we always joke about the Saudi money? Because it's like you literally are like sitting on this huge stockpile.
Right. Yeah.
And you're just siphoning it to the world, and we all need it. So I don't understand how we're going to solve this issue.
Right.
We're going to need to think of an alternate route than this. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to hear that though, because you don't get funding for that. You only get funding if you just join the machine and like just bike to work, bro. Like what? Bike to work in winter?
But it's only happening in the Western nations, right? But we're not the most.
Yeah.
We've been better at our oil consumption than countries like India and China. But they are a growing country, so they need oil. So nobody's going to stop them from getting it.
It's really funny too. Yeah, 100%. So what's funny about that too? It's like we'll outsource to China. Okay, so right. That's the hilarious part. We'll outsource our production to China, and they'll go do all the crazy like gas emissions. There's like cities where people have to wear gas masks, and they're like, you can't go outside today because the pollution's too high. And then we reprimand them. We're like, you need to put a stop to your. Bro, we're literally asking you because we don't want to do it in our country, so we're just going to ask you to like regulate. So it's really we need commerce regulation, global commerce regulation. Now that sounds like a global society. You're like, oh, we need a one world government, right? And Elon Musk had a really good point about this. So like he spoke at the World Government Summit. It used to be called the World Government Summit. Right, but now it's governments with a plural, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird." Probably because they're like world government. What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, it's a marketing thing. It's like, oh, this is the bad word now, so we have to change it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Because I put the hashtag World Governments Summit with a S, and it was like 1,000. But if you just drop the S. You get a whole so it's like, oh, you just branded it differently. So anyways, so he was saying that we shouldn't have a one world government. And I was like, oh, so like somebody had posted that, right? Like what's it called? Project Knowledge or something. Something I follow. And they made it all conspiratorial, like you shouldn't have one world government. So I was like, oh, let me watch the actual video, right? And what he was saying in that is not about governance. He was saying one world government because if one piece fails, at least we have different types of governments that won't fail.
Right.
But if you have one world government, if it all fails, because we're all so interconnected.
Right.
That's actually a logical.
In a way, what he's saying is competition.
Yeah, and diversification.
Yeah.
Like it's like when you're like investing, you don't just invest in one stock. You have to diversify your portfolio, right? So if one thing goes down, that thing went down, but there's all these other countries that we can like prop up.
Right.
So that makes sense. But I do think that there should be like maybe some more like sentience over the issue because it's very basic. If you just do the basic calculation, it will make like we're doing 2%. And if you look at it economically, we're shipping all of our production there because we don't want to have to deal with it ourselves. And the laws are different, so we can save money because we're like, oh, we don't have to pay for this. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to pay for EI or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah. And in doing that, we save cost. But we can't do that at the same time as stopping climate change. So I think we should have like like a commercial oversight or something where it's like we cannot go over this. It like we should put the onus on businesses, not on people.
Mm-hmm.
But all you hear is about people, you know? And then you get the people that feel like heroes because they biked everywhere. They're like, okay.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's you know what it is? We're looking at the part and not the whole. We're always looking at pieces that we're trying to solve rather than just solving the whole. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like naturopathic doctors, like their thing about like holistically looking at the thing. What's the root cause, right? Whereas like a doctor, like a traditional doctor would be like, oh, this hurts, fix this. Oh, that hurts, do that. Rather than being like, maybe it's your lifestyle. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that, you know? Because if we just figure out the root cause, we can like fix everything.
Yeah, I think it depends.
Yeah.
Even with the doctor thing, it depends on the patient, right?
That's true too.
Right? Who's going to the naturopathic doctor? It's because they're they want to look at it holistically, right?
Facts.
Right. Yep. Versus like a person who's not thinking about that, I just want to get it fixed, or just want to keep eating his thing, but I just want the tablet to level it down.
Right. So that's like to bridge the analogy. It's sort of like, you can do this, but it's up to you of your own altruistic feel to make that happen, right? Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. If there's a commercial law on it, then it's like you take away all their options. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So instead of giving them the ability to skirt around this issue, just be like, no, you can't do this. And then that'll solve something.
Right.
Because if we don't have the option to do A or, like, if they're like, you can only do C, there's no A or B, then we're just going to do C because that's all we have, you know?
Yeah.
But you have the people that are always fighting against the law to be like, I need my profit margins to be higher.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like we've put the onus on money or the obsession. The end goal is money. The end goal is not people.
Yeah.
But it makes no sense because we're people. Right?
Right.
So, okay, looking at it logically, like looking at it through that lens, I won't even say logically, looking at it through that lens, do I sound like a freedom fighter?
In a way, yeah, right. That's
okay. But do I sound comparable to the person that biked to work and was like, I'm helping?
No.
Exactly. And that's my thing. I think this is the marketing issue we have. I think like climate change is just a marketing problem. It's like if you just educated yourself, freedom fighter, you would understand. If you just educated yourself, commercial business owner, you would understand. But this is the middle path where it's like, because you were like, yeah, you sound like it. I'm like, yeah, because I'm a little that way, but I'm also a little this way. I'm trying to think of it practically.
No, but it's still explained practically, right? Which is fine. I think the other one is like, I bike to work. That sounds pompous.
That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, okay.
Right. Right. That's why I think the onus should not be on people. I think we're marketing this incorrectly. It should just be like, we should implement laws for organizations and governments to work towards like a people-centered approach, not a profit-centered approach. Because we've already tried the profit approach, and look where we are.
Yeah.
So why don't we try something new?
Yeah, that's what works with, I would say, public funded things.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Because you're not competing for funds. You're just asking for funds. But you mean like nonprofits?
Yeah. Nonprofits. No, like government funded, the things that taxpayers pay for.
Subsidized. Subsidized things.
Yeah.
Because you're not like...
It makes more sense.
Like the shark edge.
Yeah.
Which is actually... You make a good point. And I think that... Because you make a good point. Because... Tara was like, because I was like, how come people don't think capitalistically in a nonprofit environment? Right? And then Tara was like, oh, it's because they don't pay much. And I'm like, I don't think it's about pay. I think it's about like the lack of risk. If you know that you're going to be subsidized, you don't have to work very hard.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, well, the money's going to come from the government anyways. So, just do this campaign. Right. But if you think about it like a shark, like a business shark, you're like, okay, yes, the money will come, but now let's use the same tactics to push the correct message. You know?
Mm-hmm. I think then in that case, it would be like you can still be government funded, but you would have to show that it's what you're doing is beneficial or is working.
I think so. Yeah, I think so too.
Then that would create the competition slash. That's the competition capitalism part of it, even though it's government funded. Like, okay, your thing is meeting those goals or whatever. Yeah.
Totally. But I think the other problem is I think the government doesn't understand from a capitalistic lens. I think capitalism and like business and government are totally separate. They're not thinking similarly, right? Like government is thinking about elections because we all have to pay tax. So for them, they're thinking like a nonprofit. The money's coming in, but now I have to just sway the votes so that you vote for me and then I get my way. It's not really like a capital. It's not like a business mind. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, I guess what you're saying. Yeah.
Right, because the tax is coming. I just have to like trick you into thinking I'm the correct politician for you. Whereas like if the only way you would get money is if you sold taxpayers on your idea. You know what I mean? So it's like you only get our tax money if your idea is a good idea. Then they would think differently, like, oh, I gotta make a good idea, because then the fire's under you. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? Because there's no like threat of losing money. Whereas business people are like business people that run their own business, there's a threat of losing money. Right? Yeah, so I think we need to adopt that kind of mentality, and personally that's why I like nonprofits, because their like message is good, but they're not thinking capitalistically like I am.
Yeah. Right.
So it's kind of like I'm like a weird sore thumb in these environments, because it's like I will just be like, eat the cost. Oh, that's not good. Let's think of a better one. That's wasting money. And they're like, what do you mean wasting money? Oh, it hurts my idea. I'm like, it's not working. I'm like, what? Like just look at simple like, you know. But the ease of it, like, well, we're gonna fund it anyways. It doesn't even matter.
Right.
You're like, okay.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's hard to. Basically, you want capitalist people doing nonprofit,
which is the people centered. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
No, exactly.
But then a lot of them, exactly. But a lot of them don't go in that direction. Most of the capitalists go into.
They want to make money.
They want to make money, so they go in the capitalist direction. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that is the problem, and it's like we should shift from profit to people. But that takes I don't know. You have to be like intrinsically driven.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, because you have to want to do that thing. Yeah, because we were even talking about like Tara's like, oh, it'd be really cool if you like tried to work at Nike or something, and I'm like, I get like why sell. Why use all your great marketing tactics on like a product that's just gonna, it's just shoes, bro.
Right. Yeah. But that's
that one. I don't know.
Right.
But it's like, but like, let's make people better. Oh, I can get down with that. Yeah, of course. To me, like that because if you make the person better, then you automatically change society. Right. If I just sell you like Nikes, like Jordans, okay. You're not changing anything, but your salary's better and like you get more money, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's like a profit driven thing. Yeah, I just don't like that environment. But okay, so with climate change and all this, it's like, my guess, actually, do you remember that thing when we were kids? And I can't find it anymore. I was like trying to Google it. It was like on the History Channel, and it was saying that when it's like 2050 or something, Canada is going to, like Toronto is going to have the same weather as Miami.
I think so. Yeah. Sounds
you remember
familiar.
something like that, right? Because when we were growing up, it was like a lot of like messaging about how bad climate change is, you know?
But I think for us, when we were at that time hearing that, I'm like, oh, that's nice.
I'm still thinking that's nice, bro. So it's funny because I'd make these like offhanded jokes of being like, oh, I love climate change. I can just wear my coat outside. It's not that cold, you know? If you're like, don't say that. That sounds bad. But like, it is nice. All right. getting off the topic. I'm just saying that, are we going to hit this point where we're going to have to do something drastic in order to reverse climate change issues? So, like, I've heard a lot of things about shooting silver into the air.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, there's this, I forgot, like, what was that podcast where, like, they were coming up with these ideas, and I forget what it was, but it'll come back to me. But one of the things they're talking about when climate change is, like, you shoot silver particles in the air, and then it'll stop the reflection of the sun. It'll, like, fix our internal temperature or something like that. But we don't know the ramifications of that silver in the air. You know?
Yeah, until later on. Yeah, sure.
Right? Is that going to affect our vitamin D? What are we doing here?
I think if it...
Like, are we headed in that path?
I think so, because if we don't see it in front of us... So, like, there is already a lot of people getting affected by climate change. It's called climate refugees, right? But we...
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's a new term.
But...
For me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but it's not visually seen in the West.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
So that's...
And until it hits us.
And it's only like small islands, and these are the ones who are being affected by it. But they're... It's not the main news. It's not going to be something that's attractive or, like, you know what I mean? Like, people following it. So it's like, when it happens to you, that's the only way. Like, people react.
Yes. And not even that. You're right about the when it happens to you, but even on, like, a more drastic level, it's not just when it happens to you, it's... Oh, no, sorry. You're right. It's when it happens to you. Like, quite literally, until the problem happens to you, you don't switch anything.
Yeah.
So, and this is just everywhere. There's not just one place. I remember I was in the Philippines, my uncle was talking about, like, they have these, like, they're trying to build these roads into, it's like a 1 lane, and they're trying to make it like a 2 lane. But they didn't remove the poles, the light poles. Right? So you could accidentally drive into the light pole and die. Because you're, like, going on a 2 lane, and you're like, whoa, there's a light pole. You'll try and, like, shift over or something, right? Yeah. And my uncle was saying, like, it's very irritating because they're waiting for someone to die. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, until somebody dies from that exact accident, then they won't change it. But you're like you're saying, it's like, wait till it happens to you and then we'll fix it.
Yeah.
But that will be too late. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not a light pole issue we're dealing with. This is, like, climate. Like, how do you just undo climate if it's already affecting Western nations?
I mean, like, yeah, but they've been saying this since the 70s. I remember David Suzuki's time, right, when he was a student, and it's still going on now, right?
Exactly.
So I think that's why that's telling you that I don't think we're doing anything until it actually affects us.
No, I don't think so, and that's why I think that we need, like, communism. Not actually communism, but you know what I'm saying? It's like,
no, but even with communism, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to change anything.
It doesn't necessarily mean that, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that, but you need, like, a governance to be like, no, this is, like, we really, like, or maybe we're gonna hit that, and that's what people are afraid of, because, you know, like Joe Rogan and, like, all these people are like, I don't want a one world government, and it's like, yeah, that is kind of scary. But maybe we're pushed into a one world government because we just can't figure it out.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
It's why are we doing the banning of fossil fuel cars by 2035? And you're like, oh, this is totalitarianism at its finest. We're going to become North Korea. And it's like, no, literally, we're just a bunch of monkeys that are just trying to move. And it's like, you need to herd them in the stores. No, you can't buy that. You know, no, don't do that. You know? And people are like, no, I want my sentience. It's like, I don't think you it's going to sound rude, but I don't think you deserve it. You know? Like, you're just going to make a bad decision.
Right.
And you agree? Like, you know, I mean, it sounds ridiculously weird, but I feel like that is the only way we're going to solve this. We really need to just tell people, like, no, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, it just... I think
it's the context.
In some way, yeah.
Right? But I think, one, you need context to sell it to people. no, this is why we're doing it. You know, and two, but all right, context. Let me deconstruct the context one, because when I'm selling an idea, or so as a marketer, you're like trying to sell an idea. It's like, hey, I think we should do this campaign, right? If you don't give people context, they'll just get mad at you.
Sure.
Like, oh, I don't like that campaign.
I just remembered cigarettes.
Okay, yeah. What about it?
Right. I mean, was it the 90s or I don't know what time it was? Like banned it from smoking indoors.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yes.
Right. And then labels on the cigarette boxes. The amount of
can't smoke on planes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all that stuff. So it's like cigarette sales dropped.
And you saved a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the greater good? Kill one to save 1,000, or let it go awry.
Right.
But again, it's like, we need buy-in. You need to convince people that this is the right move.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where context comes in, because then I'll have less of a hard time of like accepting it.
Exactly. Yeah. Where I mean, that's what I'm saying. The labels on the boxes, like showing the images of lung cancer.
Right. Exactly. So that's context buy-in.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. You're totally right. All right. So the second part is, we need an altruistic leader.
Mm-hmm.
We need to trust that the leader has our best interest in mind.
Sure.
And will steer us in the right direction. And even if they don't steer us in the right direction, you're like, but you were the best we had.
Mm-hmm.
So if you couldn't get it right, hey man, I couldn't get it right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like that is the second piece of this puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas most people don't really like politics is really a game. You're not actually trying to solve anything.
No, I think that they are.
But why are you all fighting then? If you were solving something, wouldn't you all work together and be like, hey, this is actually, my finance guy is actually saying this. Double check it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, there's more collaborative.
It's more like it's
team sports again.
No, I don't think it's that. I think everybody has ideas of what would change or help. It's just now, how far is there a correct way to go, right? You can...
Yes.
So where I would say conservative would be taking one step, maybe a liberal is taking 3 steps, or
okay,
and then NDPs are going even further.
Okay.
Totally. That's the thing that where it's the clash, where it's like maybe we compromise at, I don't know, 2 or 4, like somewhere in between.
Yep.
Those two.
Right. And now going back to how nonprofits don't need to fight for the money, and also governments don't need to fight for the money. If you took this from a commerce lens, a business lens, what's the first thing you do? If somebody's like, hey, invest in my business. Like, hey, let's say you're sitting on like $1 million and like, hey, I just want to open up this business. What are you going to ask for? A business plan.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're going to be like, show me how it works. And if it logically makes sense to you, I'll invest my money.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're saying like, oh yeah, well, like we all want to solve it. We all want to solve it to the degree of not having to try very hard. Because you want to solve it, but if you really wanted to solve it and get the most bang for your buck, you would treat it like a unit, like a business working together. Siloed businesses don't work out, like siloed, like accounting doesn't talk to finance, and finance doesn't talk to marketing, and then marketing doesn't talk to, and then they're all just confused. Like, what's that? What's the department doing? Oh, dude, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're just like, oh, it's actually, we're heading towards an iceberg. We don't know, because we're all talking only to ourselves. But the best businesses are not siloed. Finance will be like, hey, we need more money. Marketers, get your ball rolling. Or like donations, like, hey, marketers, we need to, something like that. It's like you're working collaboratively. So when you're saying,
well, I'm just thinking of Apple.
Okay.
There are certain segments of a department would work together, but not all.
No, you have a department. Siloing is like I don't give you information. Silos like team sports within the org, which makes no sense. Which is how it used to be. Like if you, like they talk about this as like the future of business is getting rid of silos, right? Because back then it was like team sports. It's like accounting didn't want you to know what it was doing because it's like, we hold the numbers. But I'm sure Apple doesn't do that. They're not like, We hold the numbers. What's R&D doing? How much capital do we have? You can't know how much capital we have. You know? I'm sure at the top, like, okay, so I know what you're saying. Like the lower level people, yes, they aren't talking because it's not your job, bro.
Right.
But I'm talking upper management.
Oh, okay.
You
Yeah,
need the
yeah.
VP
That's
silo.
fine.
Yeah, that's siloing.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
but whereas before, it's like the silos, like
Itself. Okay.
the VPs
I
wouldn't
got you.
talk. They wouldn't talk to each other. They're like, just
Okay.
trust
Then.
us. We
Okay.
know what
Then.
we're
Yeah.
doing.
Then of course that would
Makes
be
no
a
sense.
problem. Yeah, that would be a problem. Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So if you look at the thing you're saying about like the NDPs and like the liberals and the conservatives, they are siloing their information. It's like you're not working as a unit. This is not the government of Canada. And you know how I can prove this? Why are there so many smear campaigns? Trudeau's not doing a good enough job. Vote for me on the next one. You know, it's like, why would you tear each other down? Wouldn't you want to work together? Because we're a country, a unit, you know? Yeah. But that's because we're just vying. We're just vying to use the taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
Here's the money. Who's going to choose what
Right.
to do with it? The winning team. Right. Whereas if the teams had to make their own money, they'd think of this totally differently. They'd be like, how do we maximize buy-in from consumers, which are the citizens of our country?
Yeah.
Wait, do you agree? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, they're buying our votes, right?
Not really, because okay, yes, they're buying our votes, but what is a vote? It's nothing. They're buying our votes to use the money. We're going to give you money no matter what. We have to pay tax.
No, yeah, but for the plans that they have, yeah.
Right. Whereas a business, like the mom and pop, like faux shop right across the street, we don't have to give you money. You have to convince us to give you money. So that's the difference there, right? The government's secured money. At the end of the year, we all have to pay taxes. So there's no like competitive shark nature. They don't need to make us happy. They need to make us happy because they want to use our money.
Yeah.
But it's like if the government really wanted to make us happy, they would work together to solve a lot more issues as a team.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Well, that's what a lot
right,
of
does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. That's how votes pass, right?
Yes. But I feel like even that is weird because it's like a game. Like even when you watch Parliament stuff, they're like attacking one another. You know? Like it's like we're playing this game of like it's like I don't know, it's like almost like high schoolish. You know, because you're like, hey, liberal, like I'm an NDP person. If we work together on this one, we can block out the conservatives. Wouldn't that be better than if the conservatives were in power? Because then we could work together. We'll split the money. I'll let some of your stuff pass. It's like, why are you playing that game, bro? Like, how about we just look at, hey guys, who has the best idea for this? And then if it actually makes sense, we'll move forward on it.
Right.
Is that logical, right?
Yeah.
But why don't we do that?
It's kind of how it works sometimes, right?
Not really. Because you see them slander each other.
No, like I can think of they slander. Okay, I'll bring up what I can remember was AOC and one of the guys from like a Trump supporter, some Trump congressperson, right?
Okay.
It's like they're two opposites, but they work together on an idea that they both agreed on.
What was the idea?
What's it like? Something about money out of politics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This is so interesting that you said that. You know why they work together on that one? Because it's an existential crisis. It's a bigger enemy other than what you're fighting for. Right? Like money in politics makes the game harder for everyone. The NDP person is like, oh, I don't have that much money. But the liberals have more money. So it's like, okay, we got a level playing field.
Right.
So if it affects everyone, then we'll all work towards it. Right? Because we need like a common enemy.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Aliens. I love aliens, bro. Okay, aliens are solved. Okay, if you look at the alien hearing,
well, yeah, that's what we thought COVID was the solve first, right?
we thought COVID was the solve, but it wasn't. So like, all right, what's the next thing, guys? We gotta keep trying here.
But I don't
No,
know if aliens is gonna be the
I don't
solve,
know. That's
though.
right. No. I
Right?
don't know
If
either. No, no, no.
COVID is what we thought was the solve, and then we ended up becoming against each other, right?
Yeah,
I
make no
feel like
sense.
that
Why
could. I feel like that could happen with the aliens, where it's like some countries would be like, "Why don't we join you and we can take them out?"
Facts. That's true. Okay. But you need like a crazy existential crisis.
Sure.
So, okay.
Asteroid? I don't know.
No, aliens. We'll keep.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
That's fine.
So no, I'm gonna explain it so that it's like, okay, aliens could be the answer. So if you look at the Congress hearing about aliens, okay, that was the only time, and I didn't even realize this because I didn't know who these people were, right? But it was like Jeremy Corbell. Shout out Jeremy Corbell. He brought out how it was the first time you see all these politicians working together on one thing. There's like, what are these black budget programs? Do you actually have spacecrafts? Like everyone in there was really trying to find out the answer because that supersedes governance. It doesn't matter what government we're doing. It's like at the end of the day, this is a life-changing thing.
Mm-hmm.
If there are aliens out there, or like, I don't want to call them aliens because that's like a stigma, but I don't know if there's like non-human intelligence that are driving technologies that are far superior to our own, then that is a game changer for me. It's like, is that God? Like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's why they're all working together. Okay. And with that, a lot of people have been saying that, well, not a lot of people. There's two sides of the alien argument. Either they're going to like reveal us altruistically, like, oh, this is what's going on. Because government knows. Allegedly, government knows. But the other, like the negative side is they're going to do a war of the worlds. And that could actually bring us all together. Because like, oh, there's like these alien spacecrafts. We got to band together. Humanity, number one. Right? Think about 9/11. It's the one time we all work together.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Actually, this reminds me. I was watching that. So Jeremy Corbell's new documentary on Tubi by TMZ. So what they said was governments don't actually work together. Actually, I think it was in there, or maybe I was watching something else. But it was like governments actually don't work together until there's a time to work together. So like there is no such thing as a government. Like you would think like, oh, okay, the government's, you know, like they're sharing information, they're like doing all this, whatever, right? We're like one unit, right? But they're actually not doing that until it's time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When they went to war, common enemy, we gotta do this. 9/11, we gotta do this. So we need something that'll corral them to be like, hey, let's put this. Actually, you know what? COVID in the beginning was like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we got lazy with COVID, right? Like
but it became but then it became
more politicized.
Yeah, very politicized. Yeah.
Do you see that thing with like Fauci where he's like, I just made up the 6 feet thing? He's like, that was actually not even like scientifically driven. I don't know if he made it up, but he was like,
I saw the headline. I don't know what he said.
Yeah, facts true. I saw the headline too. I was waiting for you to be like, actually, you said this because I read the article. But yeah,
right.
No, I didn't read the article. But if that is true, then it's like, okay, that's when things get squirrely because you don't have context, you don't have buy-in. People are like, I don't know if this. Like people were surviving, and they're like, I didn't think this was as bad as you thought it was. And then that's when you get division. The people that freak out about it, and then you get the people that are like, it's not that bad, right? But in the beginning, because we didn't know, we're like, it's threatening the entire world. We need to band together. They just gave us all money. Every single day was a news conference in Canada. This is the update now. We have your best interests at heart. And then it became politicized.
Sure.
Yeah. But if we have an alien crisis, you know, what's that going to look like?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, they're flying from outer space to come attack us. We need to ban arms.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Independence Day.
Yeah. Okay. With the remaining time we have left, let's talk about the jellyfish UAP.
Mm-hmm.
You watched the video, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So how weird did that thing look?
Yeah, it looked
Okay,
it,
the best thing
I'm trying to think
I can
what it looked like. It looked like something, but I can't tell what it was from.
like a cursor. Did it look like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know when you move your mouse, like in a video. All right, let's think about I wrote that as the caption, but I'm like serious. So if you look at the Roller Coaster Tycoon, let's say. So you play that, right?
Yeah,
Roller Coaster Tycoon?
yeah.
Okay. So you know like you can have like a windy day, a rainy day,
Mm-hmm.
and then all the people are affected by it, right? They're like, oh, rain, wind, right? But you can still move your cursor completely fine and just like click on the things to like edit
Right.
stuff, you know, changing the price of
Sure.
the thing here,
Yeah.
like, right? So the way it was moving through space in the atmosphere was like, it's oddly like a cursor. It's almost like not even bound by the physical laws of our reality.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember it? Because it was just moving. And you're just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, right? Okay, so it's hard to deny now because that video was leaked by a government official, and like, yeah, this is UF, this is an actual thing, right? It's been vetted. How do you deny this now? We had the Tic Tac, we had the Go Fast, we had the gimbal. Now we have the jellyfish,
Mm-hmm.
and the jellyfish looks crazy compared to all the other ones.
Sure. Yeah.
What are those tentacles doing? You know, what is at the top of the jellyfish? Well, what is this? Like, if these are time travelers, if this is us from the future, could it be that we are headed towards climate disaster? Because of all things we named at the beginning of this podcast. And that's us trying to go back and fix it.
Okay. Yeah.
Like that seems like the most logical. And the thing about that video is that what they're saying is it went into the water and then it came up after like 15 minutes or something, or 7 minutes. And people were saying, like scientists after that, actually no, it's an old video. They're like, we don't know what kind of samples they're getting at the bottom of the ocean. Like, why are they going to the bottom of the ocean? Is there a mineral there? And remember how I asked you, like, are we going to hit this point in climate change where it's like we can't go any further? We have to shoot the silver into the sky
Mm-hmm.
as like our like silver bullet,
Yeah.
you know, to stop climate change. And then I was like, but what's that going to do to vitamin D? So could we have like totally messed ourselves up? It just seemed logical to me. I don't know. What do you think?
Seems logical. What?
That this is the reason why. Like everyone's saying they're extra.
Okay.
No, not everyone. Not everyone. Okay. Extra tempestrial means that you are
From a different
beyond
time. Okay.
Yeah, temporal time.
Mm-hmm.
Extra beyond time. Extra tempestrial. And so with that in mind, they're saying that these. So the thing that sold me on this was everyone's like they're gravity propelled, right? That's how they're able to warp through space and time. But then in the book, it was like if it warps gravity, it warps time by definition. So these literally are time travelers. If you're able to warp gravity, that's how you're able to jump quickly, right? So if they are time travelers, why would they be so obsessed with our planet if it's not us?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, it makes sense. Sure.
And Elon Musk is like, I don't see anything in the skies. And then people are like, one thing that they were saying was if they are like extraterrestrials, you would see remnants of pollution. That's the one thing that the scientist sold me on when I was like looking into this stuff. He's like, we can't find anything. I'm like, all right, maybe you're just not looking far enough. Like, maybe how can you see every single planet? It makes no sense. And he's like, no, but you would have waste. All life forms create some sort of waste, and if they are able to build up technology, you'd see some sort of like chemical thing coming out off them, like chemical waste.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
what are you saying? Like we have pollution in the air.
Mm-hmm.
So they would give off something, some sort of trash, right? But they're not seeing anything.
I'm not sure, but I don't know. Like what that. I understand what he's saying, but how would you know that they have that, or is it just, like even when
That's
looking
true.
at Earth from outside, would it just be like the Earth is just more warm, but Earth has gone through different
True.
levels
I
of,
don't know the science behind it.
right?
Yeah, no, so I don't know the science behind it, but what he was saying is that like we're seeing like the thing we should look for is like waste.
But we
And we're
don't.
not
What
seeing that.
kind? Like we're only thinking of our waste.
True. That's true too. That's a fair point. You're right. You're right. So they could technically be from a different planet. Maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
But I mean, logically, because we had this podcast before,
Sure,
just go
sure.
listen to it, extraterrestrial. And how would they know the context from which we live?
Mm-hmm.
And that's because remember I was saying like when they're speaking to people who are abducted telepathically, they're just like, no, relax. It's just we're just doing this. How would you have context? I can't tell like Athena or like another life form because I don't know the context from which that life form lives.
Yeah.
You know, do ants have social customs? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that they know our social customs, it's like, okay, so you're familiar with us.
Mm-hmm.
So are you us? Question mark.
Right.
Right. Yeah. That's why I think they're like us from the future. And it's just making sense more and more that like, did we just build ourselves up to this point of no return?
So then in a way,
to go back to the book.
Right. But in a way then, I mean, I don't know how far do we have to go in the future to get to that point. But does that mean that we still exist then in the future?
I think so.
So then I don't know like what climate change has to do with that then, right?
No, but maybe it's like so
no, what I'm saying is like I guess did we find a way to change climate change or defeat climate change?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, have they solved for? Is there a solve for climate change? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, like if they're from the future, that means we've survived. Yeah,
but maybe the future is like not what we wanted. Like right now, it's like the golden era of humanity.
Sure.
And then in the future, it's like nobody can leave their houses. Nobody can, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Could be like that.
Yeah, it could be. But
the pollution could be so bad.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm just saying. Yeah, but still, humans still have survived.
Yeah,
I guess.
And I think, but they're looking for a solution. It sounds like a movie, but it's like just if you look at everything as one, it just kind of makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah. Yeah. What are your what do you think about the jellyfish thing? Like the point that they put in the this is the last thing because I'm running out of time.
Mm-hmm.
But the point that they put in the documentary was if there is this unidentified aerial phenomenon like hovering over a military base, you've already breached like war acts.
Yeah.
Where no country can put like a drone in an army base, you know.
Sure.
But the sheer fact, right? And that's what they're leveraging right now. They're trying to use all like laws to get this thing more on the open. So like there's Ryan Graves who has the Merge podcast and he's tackling the UAP thing from a safety perspective. Am I telling you? Like,
yeah.
Like
for
flight schools is just like, hey, we just don't want to hit it, but we're talking about UAPs. But if you do it logically, people are like, okay, that makes sense. So like with this one, what they're saying now with this released footage, we should look more into this because, you know, like you've breached war laws. Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. But they could be in cahoots with some of our governments.
Oh, you think that's well? I mean, maybe. Yeah. But then people are like, how come the president doesn't know?
Need to know basis.
I need to know. Yeah, actually, though. What it was saying too is there's no NDAs at certain points as well. Like people who are like deep into this stuff and like coming clean, they're like, you don't even need to sign an NDA because when you get to that level of secrecy, it's just assumed you're going to keep it secret.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I don't know. That's like in the face of Neil deGrasse Tyson being like, you think the government can keep a secret like this? It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they kept the atom bomb secret. That's the smoking gun for me. It's like you literally kept the atom bomb secret until you used it. I'm sure you keep big secrets. Or no, you don't think so?
Well, there was leaks, right? Prior to the atom bomb being used.
But there's leaks of UAPs.
Right.
People are like, well, there's no leaks. Like, literally, we have footage. We have all these footage. So something's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But then, Neil deGrasse Tyson, it's not real.
I just got to see what other governments are saying. Like, what are...
They're open. That's the crazy part. They're so open. You can literally Google. My sister asked me this, actually. She's like, well, how come we don't hear about it? I'm like, no, you can just Google it. But nobody's going to read it. That's the thing. I mean, you might read it. But regular people, I'm not going to read it. It's just like, you can read like Canadian UAP files.
Yeah, I think we talked about that. Yeah,
before. Yeah.
Like, no, I understand they say that. What is Russia saying about it? Like, what do they say? Or do they...
Oh, they have a huge... all right, we're out of time, but we'll just jump into this really quickly. They have a huge research backing for this. So George Knapp, he went into Russia and stole a bunch of their files. It's like a big story of his. Like, he had like briefcases of it, and he flew out of Russia with it. And he was so worried he was going to be stopped. Because people were just like giving him the information. Right. Like all like... The problem now is it's a race. It's like, who's going to reverse engineer this technology first? Because whoever has this technology wins. But we all know it's there. But we don't want to share the information unless you're an ally.
So it's the same as the atom bomb thing. Because they're all working on the atom bomb. Right? Remember with Heisenberg working on the atom bomb. But they were when they figured out they're on the wrong trial, they're not going to get to it as fast as America did.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. You know what's really great about Christopher Nolan? That he made this more known. Because I had no idea about this atom bomb thing. I was like, what are you talking about, bro? And then when you like, you read a book about it, but it's so boring, But the fact that he's putting this out into like culture, he's like...
Did you read the book that he wrote or based on? Or I don't know if it's based on, but...
No, I didn't. Called Oppenheimer?
Yeah, I don't know if it's called Oppenheimer, but that's where he got a lot of the ideas. Well, that's what he said.
Oh, interesting. Oh, no, I didn't even know. No, I didn't.
He was reading something and then, yeah.
That's so like old. Like, unless there's like a crazy conspiracy associated with it, I'm just like, I'm not gonna read it. I'll watch the movie,
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways,
but I think Oppenheimer. One like just the last thing. Like Oppenheimer's been winning awards, and so it just had the Golden Globes.
Oh, that's cool.
Right. So
that's a good movie.
It seems like it's
different.
I think it seems like it's very up there for Oscar worthy.
Nice. Oh, cool. It's like not like his other movies, but it's important. Nope. Yeah, I really have to pee, so I'm going to stop this right now. All right, till next week, Vish. Take it easy.
Peace.
Bye. All right, hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors, Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, Vish.
Peace.